Shalee Peters here with you on the Rural Radio Network, coming to you from the Sorghum Symposium today in Grand Island. And I'm visiting now with Jesse McCurry. He is the Regional Director with the Sorghum Checkoff, and you are today's keynote speaker, and you are going to be talking some market demand, leadership opportunities, some really neat stuff with sorghum producers and attendees here. What can you tell us?
Well, I can tell you that it's a hot crop. I can tell you that there's a ton of market potential that producers are experiencing in terms of positive basis, and the future is bright for the industry. I want to share the message today that there are not only export players in countries like China, but more and more companies that are hungry for the crop, which signals to the marketplace that producers can expect support if they plant more sorghum acres.
All right, and talk to us about some of those leadership opportunities that you'll be presenting them.
As we grow as a crop and as we look at the state and national boards and also things like the U.S. Grains Council opportunities internationally, we need to make sure that we have a solid bench of leadership. We have in Nebraska and in other states leaders that have been participants and volunteering their time in this industry for years, in some cases decades. Great leaders that will continue, but we want to find producers that want to learn more about the entire market from top to bottom in the United States and increasingly the global perspective on the industry, and try to plug them into ways that they can serve the industry.
And what are some of those opportunities?
Well, there's often committee opportunities from helping advise us on how we make investments. There's actual board seats. There are state opportunities. I know Barb, the executive and director in Nebraska, is always anxious to find people that are willing to spend some time volunteering at whether that's state fairs or whether that's events like today, but really to provide their perspective as growers and what the needs are in the crop from a research perspective, and also just volunteering their time and serving in a number of capacities internationally.
Shifting back to market demand, you're going to give a bit of an update on that. What will you be covering?
Well, just red hot basis to begin with, and the fact that producers are seeing some 50, 60, 70 cents and higher local cash bids for grain sorghum over corn, which is pretty unusual in our crop. And as we try to support the China demand and also make sure that our domestic players are being served, i.e. the ethanol industry, i.e. the food industry, we have an exciting story to tell, but we continue to have some work to do. And producers know that when it comes to technology in the seed bag, the pipeline for genetic improvement in the crop is coming. It is becoming more and more robust. We are having conversations with private industry and with names that you would recognize that we've never been able to have before. We are having those meetings today. So I feel like we've kind of arrived as a crop, and it's time to build into the future. Talk
about China being a player with sorghum.
China has gone from not taking sorghum to almost taking all the sorghum. It is incredible what we've seen from China. We have seen most of the sorghum crop go down by rail and down by barge into the Texas Gulf and exported to China. It has supplanted Mexico and Japan in a big way. That's exciting. We're seeing the basis opportunities as a result of that, but we're also being sensitive to continuing the relationships we enjoy with countries like Mexico. And also trying to find ways to serve the ethanol industry, because typically a third of our crop goes through the ethanol industry. And we want to position sorghum such that we can supply all of our market players. And what we feel like today is that we simply don't have enough acres, that demand is outstripping supply, which should give a strong signal to producers to plant some more sorghum.
Well, and that's something here in Nebraska. I know you'll probably have some producers who haven't looked at sorghum before, but that maybe it's very comparable to corn, and touch on their advantages with biofuels and maybe being able to get that to their local co-op.
Well, first of all, seed costs is often an advantage. The drought backdrop is often, sorghum's obviously a water-sipping crop. There are ethanol markets and companies like Abengoa. Nebraska's got some access to some terminal markets as well that are close to Kansas. They've got some strong growth opportunities in the livestock sector and in the food industry. We are having a lot of inquiries about how can I get my hands on food-grade sorghum? And oftentimes farmers are getting another $1 per bushel because they're growing food-grade sorghum. So we just need to continually communicate to the marketplace that there's a place for that bushel of sorghum if you'll just plant it.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Jesse. Again, Jesse McCurry coming to you from the 2015 Sorghum Symposium happening in Grand Island today. He's the regional director with the Sorghum Checkoff and also today's keynote speaker. I'm Shalee Peters, and you're listening to the Rural Radio Network.